Hello, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Tiffany. If you guys don't know who I am the host. And today we're going to be talking about episode 4 of Barry, season 4. Um, if you haven't been following along with my past few episodes, I'm doing this whole, I guess you could say series, or this whole discussion where I'm going to be talking about each episode of season 4 of Barry up until the very last one, and then we'll do like a whole recap of the season and everything. So if you missed my previous episodes where I talked about episode 1 and 2 and 3, go back and watch that, and then kind of, come back to this just so it'll make a little bit more sense. But hopefully you guys have been following along with the series because it's been really good this season. I want to say that I might like this season a little bit better than last one. It's still a little too early to tell because we're only halfway through season 4. But as of right now, I want to say that I might be enjoying this a little bit more. And a big part of that too is because I feel like the humor aspect of it has really made a great comeback, and I just find myself laughing throughout each episode, even though the show is still really dark. How everybody was saying that season 3 was dark. It still has that. It's still really intense, especially now that Barry went to prison and now he's, broken out of prison. There's only going to be more craziness to come, as we know. So it still has that. It's still super drama filled and everything, but just I love that comedy aspect of it, and I think they balance that really well. And I know for a show like this, that can be kind of hard to do because it's like, when do you add comedy to it? When do you not? And sometimes I think when shows do that, it could come off just really corny, and it's like, it wasn't really funny, or it just feels like they were trying to force a laugh in there. And I think Barry does a really good job of the opposite of that. Like, they know when to put in the comedy and when to not, and when to just make it really serious. And so, yeah, I'm really enjoying the season. You guys let me know, like, how you feel about it. Episode 4, man, what is going on? Episode 4 was really good. It was different, and the reason why I think this one was different was because Barry was not in it the entire episode up until the very last minute they showed him, and I thought that choice for them to do that was really smart because it made the episode so much more suspenseful. So for context, for people who maybe haven't seen episode 4, or maybe you kind of fell behind, haven't been watching it, in this episode, or I should say last episode, in episode 3, Barry has broken out of prison. He's free now. He's out. And so that's kind of like what this whole episode was about. Like, everybody kind of finding out the news that, like, oh, he's escaped. He's out. And it was fun because, like, as audience members, we're going, where's Barry? Because they're not showing him. We have no idea where he went after he got out of prison. And all of the other main characters, it's the same thing with him, with Sally, with Kusino, with Hank, even with Jim. They're all like wondering, where's Barry? And so I feel like the audience, and then also like the main characters as well, like, we were all in the same boat and kind of going through that same journey of, like, where is Barry? When's he gonna pop up? Who is he gonna go to first? What's gonna happen? Is he gonna go off and like kill a bunch of people? Like, we don't know, and for me, I kind of predicted about halfway through the episode that he was gonna go to Sally. And to me, it just made the most sense for his character to go to her. I mean, we know that Barry is very impulsive, and he tends to react without really thinking about the consequences, and a lot of times it's he's reacting in like an angry way or a super emotional way. And so I could see why maybe some people were thinking like, oh god, he's gonna go after Hank and he might kill him and Cristobal, or he's gonna go after Kusino, or because I think and the crazy thing about it too was, with all these characters, they all kind of left off on a bad note with Barry. So I think that's why too a lot of us were going, oh shoot, like, what's he gonna do? Who's he gonna go to? And I think the only one, I mean, I would say Sally wasn't afraid, but I would say the only one who really was not afraid was Jim Moss. And so, I mean, he even said to the cop in the episode, like, I can't promise that I won't kill this guy if I find him first. So he was more just like, let him come on. Like, if I see him, it's on sight, basically. Like, And I understand that because like he killed his daughter. So it's like if I see you, like they ain't no big no talking. Like I'm taking you down. Um, and so with him, I really didn't think I was like that wouldn't really make sense for him to go to gym and to try to take him out again or try to fight him or anything because it's like what would that really do for Barry? And I think a big possibility, obviously, with like going after Hank because of that conversation that they had, where Barry was asking for another favor, and Hank finally stood up for himself, which I thought was one of the best moments of episode 3. And he says, "No, I'm not doing this for you. Like you're not looking out for me. Why should I be looking out for you?" And he basically just called him out on it. Like I've always been nice to you. I've always been a friend to you, and all you do is take, basically. And it's something that we know as an audience, but I think for Hank, like, he's always looked at Barry as a friend, or he's always looked at somebody that, like, it was just somebody that he cared about. And so it was sad, but also I was like, yes, honey, because finally. And so they left off on a really sour note, so they're definitely not friends. Although I don't know if Barry ever really saw Hank as a friend, but for Hank, that was his friend in his mind. And so after that, it was kind of like, oh shoot, like, is he gonna go to Hank? Is he gonna try to do something? And I kind of had that thought as I was watching it, like in the beginning, and clearly, like, Hank was scared too, or at least he was kind of like, worried about it. Like that was clearly on his mind. But then we find out later on in the episode that there was definitely something else that was kind of eating away at him. And I'll kind of get back to that in a little bit because it's a major. I think it's just like a major shift for the show and kind of like where the rest of the season is heading. And then, with Kusano, obviously he's scared. And what was scary for him was he was alone. So like Jim and his agent, I forgot the guy's name. They were like, we got to put you somewhere like where you can't talk to no more press or nothing like that. Like you clearly can't keep your mouth shut. So we gotta put you, where your cabin is, and this is where him and Janice were at in season 2, and where they invited Barry and Sally, and where Janice got killed. So that was very like, wow, we haven't seen this place in a while type thing. And so they put him there, and he's by himself, like he's all alone out in the woods. And his agent, I think it's his agent, calls him, and he's like, yeah, we just found out that Barry is out of prison. And I can only imagine how he feels. Like, you're by yourself in the woods. You're in the same place, like, where your girlfriend got killed. And dude, I'd be scared too. So I didn't really blame him. And he's like, no, you cannot leave me here. Like, are you serious? And they're just telling him, like, no, like, you're probably the safest here. But to Kusano, he's like, heck no, you got me out here by myself and everything, and I ain't got no, like, he did have that gun, but that's like one little measly gun compared to what Barry can do. So he was on edge, like, the whole episode, and just sitting in the house and, like, having his gun loaded and just waiting. Like, if he comes, I'm ready to shoot him. We get to the scene where somebody comes to the door, right? And God, he doesn't even look to see who it is or anything. Like, if anything, I just would have, like, went to go hide. But he shoots the gun, and the camera just, like, slowly pans. And we already know at this point, like, that was not Barry. Because there's no way, like, Barry just came up and he just shot him and that was it. We know. I'm like, this is not Barry. The camera shows that it was his son, Leo. And it's just like, oh, it's just that sinking feeling in your stomach where you're just like, oh my God, he just shot his son thinking it was Barry. And now his son is like laying on the ground bleeding out, and we don't know, like, I don't know if he's gonna live, if somebody's gonna come and help him, because again, they're out in the woods. So if Henry's character doesn't go to check on him, then he could die. Now it did kind of look like he got shot in the shoulder, so I'm hoping that it's like a minor, being shot is not a minor thing, but if it's a kind of more of a minor injury, he might be okay, but I don't know. I wouldn't put it past the show to kill him off. And then, if his son dies, he really won't have anybody else that he really, I guess, cares about except for his grandson. and then his grandson will be without a dad, and that means like it would be up to Kusano to take care of him, which is like, it's just crazy. I don't know what's gonna happen there. I'm hoping he lives, because I'm like, dang, he does not deserve that. Like, I think the only thing he ever wanted was to just have a relationship with his dad, and it seemed like he was kind of getting there with him, and then all this stuff happens, and you know, now it's kind of, it just seems like it's kind of disintegrating again almost. So I feel bad for him, because he didn't ask for this. Kusana was the one that came back into his life, and for a while there he was just like, I'm good, like I don't need you around. And I don't know if he really meant that. I think deep down inside, I'm sure he wanted his dad to be present. He probably always wanted that since he was a kid, but he was kind of like resistant to it, and Kusano was the one that kind of like pushed his way through, and came back into his life, and then of course he was around his son and everything. So it's gonna be sad if he dies, like for real, for real. So I don't know what's gonna happen there. That's kind of a cliffhanger as of right now. And then with Sally, which was, I think, besides everything that happens with Hank, but I'll get to that soon. I think Sally's was kind of one of the things I guess that surprised me the most in this episode, because she was the last one to find out about Barry's breakout, and she was on set. So if you remember, she had set up this whole acting class and was trying to teach Kusano's methods, and everybody in the class except for one girl left. So everybody was like, you're abusive, this is not the way you teach, we're out. Everybody left, and this one girl, I think her name is Kristen, she's like, well, I have this role, and you're the only one that's really been able to help me, so like, can you just stick around and just be my acting coach, right? So Sally goes on set to this movie set where the girl is doing her role, and clearly she needs help because she's not much of an actress. And so Sally's there to kind of like help coach her and everything. And there's actually this funny scene where, again, I really like the way it was shot, where Kristen forgets her line and she kind of runs off, and she's embarrassed and everything. And so Sally goes and she's like, okay, just do what I do. And she like recites the whole line in front of the director. And it's clearly like she's trying to pitch herself, like to be like, well, I could do it. If she can't do it, I could do the role type thing. And what's funny is there's this moment where she steps and then it kind of like covers Kristen's whole like whole presence, and it's just Sally in the frame. And I don't know, the way that was shot, I thought that was funny, and it clearly like it was just like it clearly showed the audience what Sally was really trying to do. And the director was like, yeah, that's good, but we need it from her, not from you, basically. And so, that didn't work. But it was like, nice try, but that didn't work. And that is kind of messed up, because it's like you're supposed to be coaching this girl, and you're here trying to, like, try to steal this girl's role. But anyway, that's Sally for you. So later on that same day, she finds out her, I guess her student, you can call it her student, tells her like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, like your ex-boyfriend, broke out, like, do you want to stay with me, like you shouldn't be alone type thing. And Sally's she's not really reacting and stuff. And so I think at that point she had already kind of accepted that, like, he's out, he's gonna come to me, like I think she just already knew. And that's probably why she wasn't really afraid, I guess. And then it ends with her going home, which when that part came up, I was like, girl, I would like I guess because she wasn't afraid, but I'm like, if it's me, I am not going home, especially not by myself. Like, your crazy ex-boyfriend has escaped from prison, you're gonna go home and it's nighttime and stuff? Heck no. I would be like, girl, I'm driving far far away from here. Like, if I need to fly back home, I will do that. But she goes home, and she's clearly expecting him, because she walks in, and it was very eerie. This whole scene is very eerie. And it's just quiet, and it's dark, and she's looking into the darkness, and she's like, Barry? And again, like, the camera is showing just like this room, and if this was a horror movie, like, this would be the scene where you would be expecting a jump scare. That's how like creepy it was. And you see Barry just kind of like slowly walk out, and he looks a mess, by the way, a hot mess. And I forgot what he says to her, but I don't even remember if he gets to say anything before she's just like, let's go. And he's just like, really? Like, like he's super happy and like you can tell he's surprised. I think he thought that he was gonna have to convince her to go, because keep in mind, like he's been trying to plan this whole, if the FBI gives me a deal and I get into witness protection, can I take Sally with me and we can go and, live our own happily ever after? Like, he's been planning that, but she didn't know anything about that. So I think to him, he was kind of like, oh yeah, I need to tell her like my plan of what I've been wanting to do for us and for, for, I guess, for himself too. And she's just like, let's go. And that kind of surprised me a little bit because I didn't think she was necessarily going to say that. Like, I think, like I said, clearly she kind of was already, or not even kind of, she was expecting him, and I didn't really think that that she was gonna try to, I guess, like push him away or anything like that, because we've already kind of seen, and she's already said in one of the episodes that like he makes her feel safe despite the type of person that he is, despite the things that he's done. Like she doesn't really have safety anywhere else. She doesn't even have it with her own parents or in her hometown. Um, and so it's sad and it's messed up, but that's how she feels. And he completely latched onto that. So when she said that, he was just like, oh, I make her feel safe. I make her feel safe. And I think in his mind, to him, he's like, that means she wants me. That means we should be together and, all that stuff. So I didn't expect her to say that, but I also kind of figured that if he showed up, that she would kind of welcome him in, like she would, be okay with him being there. But um, that's kind of where it ends. Although we get another scene after that, and this was sort of confusing to me. You guys, let me know like what you think. Um, it goes to what looks to be a flashback of Barry as a kid again, and we've been kind of getting that throughout the last, I want to say, couple episodes. Um, and then it kind of shifts into Barry and Sally, clearly older, and they look like they're like a married couple. And the kid who we thought was Barry goes like, he gets mad or something like that, and he runs off and goes in his room. And Barry's like, oh, I'll go talk to him. Like that's their son. So I'm like, okay, is this a vision? Or is this a dream? Or is this really happening? Now, the streets are saying that this is an actual time jump. So I have no idea what's true, what's not. I guess we'll find out as the season keeps going. But I'm interested to see, because I'm like, if this is a real time jump, so that means that they actually did run off together and they got married and she had a kid by him. And I don't know where they're living or whatever, but I don't know. I'm just like, what's going on here? I don't know. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like them just doing a big time jump like that, because if that is real, then it has to be at least like 8, 9, 10 years later, because the kid looked to be like, around that age range. So I'm just like, dude, like I want to know what happened in between all of that. Like what? If it's a real time jump, I don't know for sure. But it might be though. I don't know. I guess it would kind of make sense if she really did run off with him, then they would go and um, get married and everything like that, and just kind of live under the radar. But part of me too was like, girl, you had a kid with him. Like it's one thing to like be with him, but you had a kid with him, girl. Like I would be afraid. Like you having a kid with a crazy person like that. What if your kid turn out crazy too? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know about that, but yeah, I don't know. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen there. And then the last, I guess, like major thing that I wanted to talk about was definitely Hank and Cristobal. I feel like a big part of this episode was just their story and kind of like wrapping up their relationship, I guess, if you want to call it that. So, man. So we lost Cristobal, y'all. R.I.P. And I did say in the beginning of this season, or I think maybe even before season 4 started, that I was like, if one of them has to die, I would rather it be Cristobal than Hank, to be honest. And I know that's messed up to say, but like I really love Hank as a character. So that ended up happening. I'm sorry, y'all. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, we lost Cristobal. And the sad thing is, too, is not even that he died, but the fact that it's kind of Hank's fault. And just the way that he went out. Like, I just thought that was really messed up. So it kind of all, I don't know if you want to say it kind of all started since the beginning of the season. I would say it did. It really all started with them coming up with this like big sand scheme. And really, it was, to be honest, it was really Cristobal's idea. I think Hank was just going along with it because he could see that he could see that Cristobal, I'm sorry, was super excited about it, and he was like, "This is, this could be our way to get back in the game, and we're gonna make a ton of money, and we're gonna be legitimate, and all this stuff." Um, and I think Cristobal's thing was that he still wanted to be in that crime world, but he didn't necessarily want to be like. I don't think Cristobal is like. I don't think he's ever been like a super brutal person. Like maybe if it came down to it, he would be, but I don't think that's not really his mo. And I think that's why him and Hank got along so well together, because Hank has always been like that, at least in the past. He's always kind of like, yeah, I'm a gangster, or I'm a part of a mob or whatever, but like I'm still polite and I'm still nice to people and I still give people a chance. He's not like the type to just gun somebody down just because. The only reason why Hank killed, killed Cristobal's wife and that guy was because he was trying to save Cristobal, because he loves Cristobal. So that was more kind of like out of self-defense. And we've never really seen him do that any other time. There's been plenty of times where he could have took Barry out. Barry shot him in the first episode. He could have been like, yeah, I'm gonna get revenge on this dude and take him out, and he didn't do that. So I think from the very beginning we've kind of seen the type of character that Hank is, and just how well him and Cristobal mesh together, because I think they're kind of similar in that way. And so, I think for Cristobal, it was like, this is the perfect plan. Like, we're dealing with sand, and yeah, maybe it'll be illegal or whatever, but it's not necessarily something super hardcore where they're going to be like in full-on wars. I think the whole thing was just kind of like setting them up for the future, and having a business and making money and them being together and being a couple, and that was it. I think Cristobal just wanted, even though it doesn't sound simple, but I think to him it was like just simple, like this is how we're gonna make our money and this is how we're gonna be. And Hank, the Chechens that came to him, and obviously Cristobal didn't know about it, and they were basically kind of like, kind of gave him like the ultimatum, and Hank chose to go with that. And so by him choosing that, it just caused like an awful ripple effect, and it got Cristobal killed, unfortunately. Now some people might say, well, it was Cristobal's kind of fault because he didn't go along with it and he decided to leave and everything, but it's like, can you blame him? Like, your boyfriend goes behind your back and does a whole different thing than what you guys planned, and he killed those people, and now he's trying to act like everything's okay. Like, you would be upset too. So I can't really blame him for that. As much as I love Hank, you can't really defend him you can't really defend that. To me, you can't. So I definitely understand Cristobal's perspective, and why he wanted to leave, because he was like, I can't trust you anymore. Like, if you'll do this, what else will you do, So, without, I guess, like, trying to go over every little detail, if you guys have watched the episode, then obviously you've seen what happened. If you haven't, I highly suggest you watch it, because this episode was really good. But, he was kind of just like, no, I can't be with you. I cannot stay in this, no. And Cristobal is just very, like, I love you, but I'm not going to tolerate this type of thing. So he's clearly like, he got his dignity. He's like, no, I'm not staying for this. And Hank was trying to tell him, like, if you leave, like, that's it for you. Like, too much. If you're not a part of the Chechens, then they're against you, basically. And Cristobal was just like, I'm not staying. Like, sorry. And he made up his mind right then and there, and Hank was like, it was just sad. Like, it was a real breakup scene. It wasn't like something funny, like how you would think it would be between them. It was like an actual, like, this was like a romance movie or like a drama movie, and this was like the big couple breaking up, like their big fight scene. That's what it really felt like. And it was like, dang. And what, obviously what made it sadder was that not only were they breaking up, but Cristobal had made his decision, and Hank had, made that decision on behalf of both of them, and now that's why they ended up where they ended up. And things could have been different. I think that's what made it sad, for me anyway. And just the way it was shot was like insane. And there's this part where like Hank comes back inside the house after Cristobal leaves, and he just breaks down and cries, and you see somebody coming up behind him, and you're like, is that Cristobal? Is he coming back to, like, I don't know, like, is he gonna take him back? Is he gonna, did he change his mind? Like, what's going on? And then you see it's not Cristobal, and it's like, dude, y'all did that on purpose. Like, stop it. And they open up the door, and he's just laying on the ground. Like, they already shot him. And I was like, man, like, it was just quick. It was like, dang, like, he was here, and now he's gone. Like, what the heck, man? So sad. R.I.P. to Cristobal. He did not deserve that. And so now I have no idea what is this gonna do to Hank? What does this mean for Hank's character? Like, I just feel like this is him descending now. And kind of going back to that whole concept of like everybody in the show has Barry's disease. I clearly saw it with Sally. Now I'm seeing it with Hank more, and it's sad because Hank is my favorite character, and I don't want this for him. I don't want that for Sally either, and I don't know what's gonna happen with Kusino, but Kusino, honestly, him and Jim might be the only ones who kind of make it out okay. Like, if his son lives, I think maybe them two will be the only ones that are kind of like okay, because Sally and Hank are like screwed now. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know what's gonna happen. Sorry, there's a cat down below. So I just don't know what's gonna happen, you guys. I want to know what your guys' thoughts on this episode were or are. Where do you see the season going? Like, how do you expect it to end? Are you happy with the way it's going? Because I'm just so conflicted. I'm like, man, what the heck? I mean, this is a super like intense show, so like I don't expect everybody to just have a happy ending. Like, that's super unrealistic. But it's just seeing what's happening with all these characters is really unfortunate, and it's just sad when you think all the way back to like season 1 and just how much crap has happened. And it's all because of Barry. Like, of course they've all made bad decisions and everything, but it's just like, if Barry had never joined that acting class, if he never infiltrated in everybody's life, then this stuff wouldn't have happened. So it's just, I just blame Barry, okay? It's all his fault. To me, it's all his fault. So I definitely don't think he deserves a happy ending. And I still say, like, I feel like he should die at the end. I really do. Now, if he did go off and get married with Sally for real and they had a kid, I would feel bad for the kid, obviously. But, like, I'm still kind of like, Team Barry should die at the end. Like, I'm sorry, but there's just no way he gets off and then just has a happy ending. That does not make sense to me. And I don't think that would be, I just don't think that would serve the story well. Like, he does all of that and then he just lives at the end, And if he does live, then I definitely think it should be that he's, like, back in prison for good or something, like some type of big consequence. It definitely should not be that, like, he just gets to live happily ever after with Sally. I don't see that happening. But then who knows? I mean, who knows? If you guys have read spoilers, because I know there's been a bunch of spoilers out there about like what happens later in the season, please do not tell me. I want to be surprised, okay? I'm just gonna watch it each week and find out what happens. But yeah, I feel like that was kind of the gist of the episode. I guess it was all just like, where's Barry? That was like the whole theme of this episode. Besides everything, I think that what happened with Hank and Cristobal. So this kind of makes me think, though, that like I'm seeing this pattern of like the way like this really negative ripple effect that Barry's imprisonment and stuff, and just the way he's been with everybody, how it's affecting all the other main characters. And like I said, we've seen it with Sally. Now we're definitely seeing it with Hank. I wonder if like Kusno's kind of next, like if something else is going to happen with them. I don't know. I think the only one who it won't really affect is Jim, just because, like I said, Jim is just like, he's just his own character. Like, he's just trying to get justice for his daughter. You know what I mean? Like, that's all he really cares about. So, I hope nothing happens to him, honestly. 'Cause, that would be so messed up. But, But yeah, I think that's about it. I'm gonna wrap up this episode. I try not to make the episodes too long, just because I know it can be a lot to take in, especially with just me talking about it. Um, but yeah, I do enjoy, kind of doing these like reviews, discussions, and type things. Oh, what I could do before I go though is like I can kind of show you guys, or I guess we can kind of react together to the kind of like the time jump, the ending of episode 4, because I think there's a clip of it on YouTube now. I kind of wish I could show more, but copyright issues. I don't really know how all of that works. I know that there's plenty of people who react to like full episodes of movies on YouTube, but I think it really just comes down to like if you can edit it really well to where you're not showing everything. But other than that, YouTube will take it down, and like I said, they'll get you for copyright. So I just don't want anything to happen to my channel. So I can't really like show too much. And I know like with streaming services, they already know that people will try to screen record stuff, and so if you try to do that, the screen will just be blank. It won't even show. So I can't do that. I've honestly thought about, I'm sorry, I'm looking on YouTube for the clip. I've honestly thought about like if I just kind of transitioned out of a podcast and just went to like a full reaction channel on YouTube, like what that would look like, and if you guys would be interested in that, or if you think that would be cool, because I do like doing reactions. It's just like I said, it's hard to do without kind of like getting in trouble. The only thing with that is if I did that, then I would really be abandoning like the idea or like having the platform to do interviews, and I really enjoy doing that. I've only had um like two under my under my belt so far, but I plan to do more. So that would kind of be the only that, and then the fact that I'm really not a good video editor. There's still like a lot that I need to learn about video editing, but that it's just an idea that I've had. You guys can let me know what you think about it, or if you think there's a good way that I could do more reactions but still find a way to kind of implement like interviews and stuff. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to give that up because I really enjoy doing that. That's like the I was gonna say like my journalism background. That's just there with me. I just like doing that. But but yeah, let's see if I can. Again, I always say let's see if I can share my screen and see if it'll actually work. Because I've had issues with it before, and I don't know why, but it seems to like not want to work sometimes. But okay, yeah. Hopefully you guys can see this, and hopefully you guys can hear it. I'm gonna turn up the volume. This is like 3 minutes long, so hopefully that's not too long. But anyway, the episode, not the episode, the clip says Barry and Sally time jump, from episode 4, and episode 4 was titled "It Takes a Psycho," which is very fitting for this show and for Barry as a character.
If you overdraw your account, Wells Fargo gives you an extra day grace period to avoid the overdraft fee. Accidentally parking where you shouldn't.
Sorry, y'all.
That one gets an extra day.
Like having an extra day grace period? You can with Wells Fargo.
Okay, so at this point, Jim was, I think he was just checking to see if Sally was going to be okay because he knew too that like Barry's out. He's probably going to go to this girl's house. And I guess once he saw that she was okay, then maybe he figured it was fine. I don't know. Um, or maybe he was checking to see if like he was gonna like if Barry was gonna be in the car with her. I don't know. Yeah, it might be that he was thinking that Barry was gonna be with her and he was hoping to like catch them or something. Now see this freaking scene, I was like, bro, this is like horror movie vibes for real. That's scary.
Barry?
Like, first of all, sir, why are you standing in the dark like that?
Sally, I know this is crazy, but if I could just stay
Let's
here.
go.
Really?
Hey, hey, let go of me! Let go! Let go of me!
Hey, stop it, boy! Stop it! What's going on?
He hit me, Dad! You're making fun of me! Yeah? Well, he's never heard of Call of Duty. He's a freak!
Doesn't this look like a
Go
flashback?
home, John. Just go home. Travis, come with me.
But this whole part was just so trippy because I'm like, is this, what is going on here? And then it looks like they're in the middle of nowhere, which is what it looked like when it was showing Barry as a kid. So I'm like, what? That's really nice, like, shot though. Nice view.
I'll go talk to him.
See, and I'm like, what? What? Like, what is going on? I don't know, y'all. But that's that. So again, you guys let me know what you think, what your theories are. Like I said, people are saying that this is an actual time jump, so I guess it really is, but I have no idea what that means, moving forward, if they're kind of gonna jump to the future or if it's gonna show things that have happened in between, like what led up to that. I'm kind of hoping they show that. I don't know, but we'll have to see. New episode tomorrow. New episode of Barry tomorrow. And then, of course, I will be back same time next Saturday to talk about episode 5. And yeah, we're getting closer to the end. Oh my god, I don't know what I'm gonna do when the show just actually ends. Like, I might cry for real because I feel like I've been watching. I feel like I've been watching this my whole life, and it's only been like what like a few years, but it just seems like it's been forever. I don't know. But yeah. Uh, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any last minute thoughts I was gonna have, but no, I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna end it there. This has gone on long enough. I've been talking quite a while, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Please leave comments, and if you're not already following me, follow my Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where you'll get the most content, to be honest. I do have an Instagram page you can follow as well. I try to post clips on there every once in a while, or I try to do it like every week, but sometimes it's kind of hard to keep up with. I have a Twitter page as well. I put all my socials in the comments, but I would just say please just follow Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube, and then follow my Spotify as well. If you're more of an audio listener and you don't really care to like see my face, I guess, then you could definitely just listen in on there. And it's all Tiffany's TVscape. It's all the same name. But yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you guys next weekend. Hopefully, you guys have a good week. And here we go. We're gonna be watching episode 5 tomorrow. See you then.